In medieval days, as it is now, humans have been honoring the autumnal bounty of apples and pears by baking pies. So today we're reconstructing a 600-year-old recipe from the medieval cookbook, the Forme of Cury. Our recipe is Tartys in applis, apple pie, and it's bursting with fresh apples and pears, dried fruits, and the autumnal spices we crave. Our recipe instructs us, for to make Tartys in applis, tak goda applis and goda species, and figis and raisons and pears, and one they are welly bread, caloura with saffron well, and do it in a coffin, and do it forth to bake well. For how devastatingly undetailed in terms of quantities, measurements, and timings that this recipe is, with just a little reconstructive effort, it results in a deliciously rich and complex tasting pie. In medieval days, this tart would most likely have been made in the fall months when apples and pears are in season, and perhaps even through the darkest part of the winter, as apples and pears store very well and can last for months under the right conditions. Fruits like these would have been invaluable during the dark days of winter when fresh fruits were a rarity. Dried fruits were highly prized in medieval days as well and appear extensively in cookbooks from that era, a way to enjoy summer's bounty all year long. Our recipe calls for both dried figs and raisins. The recipe instructs us to use good spices to bring extra excitement to the flavor profile of this pie. I'm going to assume that this author would have recommended spices that went into the infamous medieval poudre douce, or sweet powder, which included valuable imported fragrant spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, mace, and ginger. The spice saffron is the bright red pistils of the crocus flower and was a luxury spice in medieval days, and in fact it's still quite an expensive spice today as those pistils are super delicate and have to be harvested by hand. For my pie crust, I'm using my trusty reconstruction of a 16th century short crust. It's delicious, buttery, flaky, a delight to eat. It surprised me when I first learned this, but egg washes were used in medieval cookery. At the time, the technique was called endoring, which comes from French and means to make golden. Medieval cooks loved using natural dye in their dishes to make the food visually more beautiful and appealing, and a golden yellow was often achieved by using egg yolks or saffron. When you take your first bite of this pie, you will be transported by its timeless deliciousness, with the raisins and the figs rehydrated in the deliriously sweet juices of the apples and pears, which have been cooked until they're so soft that they burst in the mouth, with our delicious 16th century crust all buttery and flaky, with the sweet cloud of honey and spices throughout unifying everything. You will be delighted and reminded again why autumnal fruit pies have been so adored for hundreds upon hundreds of years.